Welcome to Sofa Leadership Circle, the channel where we explore profound stories to uncover lessons that transform our personal and professional lives. Today, we bring you a tale filled with faith, courage, tragedy, and redemption, a journey spanning continents, cultures, and hearts. In this video, we delve into the extraordinary story of a pastor and his family whose unwavering faith was tested by a devastating illness. The decision to seek help in a remote African village led to miraculous healing, but also set the stage for a dramatic and heartbreaking reunion years later. What unfolds is a narrative of hope, forgiveness, and the resilience of the human spirit. Through this captivating story, we will explore powerful themes such as the strength of difficult decisions, the role of faith and culture in shaping our lives, and the healing power of reconciliation. But this tale is not just about the past, it's about what we, as individuals, can learn from these moments to enrich our journey toward enlightened leadership and deeper compassion. Join us as we uncover lessons in courage, forgiveness, and the unbreakable connections that define us. Stay tuned until the end for 6 life-changing lessons that will inspire your personal and professional growth. Welcome to Sofa Leadership Circle, where charisma, leadership, and personal development come together to reshape our vision of the world. Don't forget to hit the like button, share your reflections in the comments, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content about leadership and growth. In a quiet town in the United States lived a family whose life was rooted in faith, charity, and a deep devotion to God. The pastor, a charismatic man of African descent, and his wife, a cheerful blonde American, were the pillars of their congregation. Together, they dedicated their lives to spreading the word of God and inspiring people across the country. Yet beneath their joyful facade, they carried a silent longing. They were childless. Their prayers were eventually answered when a homeless man they had helped rebuild his life offered them his daughter for adoption. This little girl brought light into their lives, and they named her Grace, in honor of God's grace. The years passed, and Grace grew into a lively and curious child. But on her 7th birthday, the family's life was shaken to its core. Grace fell gravely ill. The doctors could not give a clear diagnosis, but their prognosis was grim. Weeks turned into months, and hospital visits became routine. The congregation prayed tirelessly for a miracle, yet despite modern medical treatments, her condition worsened. In this moment of despair, the pastor received a message from his homeland in Africa. A distant relative spoke of a healer in a remote village, known for miraculous cures with traditional methods. This message brought hope but also conflict. The congregation, deeply rooted in their faith, strongly advised against resorting to such pagan practices. After weeks of prayer, the pastor decided to take his family to Africa. It was a choice that divided the congregation and tested the family's faith deeply. After an arduous journey, they arrived at the remote village. It was a place seemingly untouched by time, mud huts, endless savannas, and a profound spirituality that filled the air. The healer, an elderly man with piercing eyes, welcomed the family and began Grace's treatment. The methods were as fascinating as they were mysterious: herbal teas, rituals under the starry skies, and meditative chants. In the village, the family experienced a world far removed from modern America's technology. They witnessed the harmony between the villagers and nature, leading them to question their own beliefs. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, Grace began to show signs of recovery. An unexpected miracle. After 6 months, Grace was completely healed. Her recovery was celebrated as a miracle, both in the village and in the congregation back home, which was overwhelmed by the news. However, the healer and his village became a legend, drawing people from all over the world in search of cures. Back in America, life returned to normal. Grace excelled in school, graduated with honors, and earned a scholarship for an international study program in Europe. Her parents were proud and grateful that she could lead such a fulfilling life despite her earlier struggles. In Europe, Grace was now a young, independent, and ambitious woman. In the same city, however, the healer, now a refugee, had also landed after political tensions forced him to flee his village. He had lost everything: his home, his reputation, and access to the nature that was essential for his healing practices. One cold winter day, at a crowded train station, their paths crossed again under tragic circumstances. The healer, aged and scarred by his experiences, thought he recognized a familiar face in the young woman. Unsure of his memory, he decided to follow her. Grace noticed the man, felt his gaze, and panicked. Memories of her time in the village flooded back, and she suddenly felt threatened. As he came closer, the healer stumbled and accidentally touched her back. In a reflex born of fear, Grace drew a knife from her pocket, a habit she had developed during her time in Europe. A single stab to the heart brought the man to the ground. Onlookers called the police, and Grace was arrested at the scene. The healer survived, but fell into a coma. Grace pleaded her innocence, and after a lengthy trial, she was acquitted, as she had acted in self-defense. However, the guilt never left her. She returned to America, but nightmares of that fateful day haunted her constantly. A few years later, the family decided to visit the healer in his village to thank him, not knowing what had transpired. In the village, they found a broken man, half-blind and paralyzed. As he shared his story, Grace realized the shocking truth: the man she had harmed was the same man who had once saved her life. The encounter became a moment of deep reconciliation. The healer forgave her and assured her that his heart remained pure. Grace, now a mother herself, promised to visit him every year to honor his legacy and show gratitude. In life, there are moments when we must make difficult decisions that may not be understood or accepted by others. The pastor and his wife faced a moral dilemma. Should they follow the advice of their congregation or do everything to save their daughter's life? This shows us that decisions often require courage and a clear prioritization of what truly matters, even in the face of opposition. Forgiveness is an act of immense strength. The healer, who faced the woman who had almost ended his life, had every reason to hold on to bitterness. Yet, through forgiveness, he freed both himself and Grace from the burden of guilt and anger. Forgiveness is not about forgetting the wrong, but about reclaiming control over one's own healing and peace. This story illustrates how the pastor, despite his religious upbringing and skepticism, came to appreciate the wisdom of another culture. Every culture holds unique insights and perspectives that can enrich our lives. Respecting these differences builds bridges and allows us to learn from one another. People who play a central role in one chapter of our lives can reappear in unexpected ways. The healer and Grace were connected through healing, tragedy, and reconciliation. This reminds us that every encounter has a purpose, even if it's not immediately clear. It encourages us to value relationships and treat people with kindness. Fear is a powerful emotion that often drives us to act impulsively and irrationally. Grace's reaction at the train station, which led to the tragic stabbing, was a result of fear and misunderstanding. This teaches us the importance of pausing, breathing, and reflecting in stressful situations to avoid irreversible consequences. True healing does not only come through forgiveness, but also through reconciliation. The meeting between Grace, her family, and the healer in the village was not just a moment of truth, but also a symbolic act of healing. Reconciliation requires facing our mistakes and finding peace, even in the face of pain. Conclusion. These 6 lessons offer timeless wisdom that can guide us in all areas of life, whether personal, professional, or spiritual. By embracing these principles, we can positively influence ourselves and those around us.